Hey everyone, my name's Chris and this is Endurance OS. This is my introductory vlog to my new YouTube channel that really is just going to go over this Program 100 idea that I created. It's about 150 plus days ago now. I was watching YouTube and I saw another channel, My Life by AI. I'll put his link in the description, but this was some English gentleman who was overweight and using ChatGPT as a coaching tool. He called it Arthur and he spoke to it like a person. Thought it was pretty neat. He lost over 75 pounds using this system. He started by asking for some diet advice and it made him a custom diet instead of recommending one. And at that time in my life, I was constantly watching YouTube for diet advice, always looking for the next best diet for me to lose some weight. I was drinking a lot of alcohol, smoking pot all the time, unhappy with my weight, looking for change basically. And these videos are where I would go a lot of the time. I'd go on YouTube and look for the next thing that I could try. So this was it. I watched him use ChatGPT. Prior to this, I'd never used AI for anything meaningful. Making music with Suno, which is pretty fun actually. Creating silly images of my friends at work and using it like a Google search engine is all I'd ever done up to that point. So I was curious. I was very interested at this point. I pulled out my phone. I purchased the $20 plus tier, I believe is what it is, of ChatGPT, and I've been using it since then, right? And I stole the URL for the video. I pasted it in there, and I said, please, summarize this video and create a rough system for me to use. And that was the starting point. I don't remember if I stole the title from him, Project 100. I don't remember if he was doing 100 days himself, or I know he was letting AI run his life is what he was calling it. But my goal was to do 100 days of letting the AI coach. And we created this accountability system of check-ins, a morning planning, a midday check-in, and an evening reflection is how I started the program. And initially it was just one really large chat that I would use. And eventually over time, we tweaked that and created weekly handoffs and we modified the system as we went. ChatGPT would have updates to the model, which would cause a little bit of chaos every now and then, and I could see my system break in real time or not handle certain things the way I expected it to. So there's a lot of, tweaking of the system, but 100 days later, the system was working and I was hooked. I found a blog. I was going to say blog. I found a journal entry in one of my journals the other day. I started journaling again is one of the things that using this has brought back into my life. But I found this entry from July 27th and I was drinking still, and it said, oh, it's 12 p.m. I haven't had a beer yet. And that was like an accomplishment for me back then, because any time was Miller time back then. But I knew I had to quit the booze to make any seriously meaningful changes. I'd quit prior to this. The longest stretch was leading up to the Missoula Marathon in 2024. I stopped drinking for about 9 months. I accomplished my A goal at that race of running a sub 5-hour marathon. And I drank booze that night, and I think I drank every night after that for the next 9 months. Off the wagon again, right? And I've been smoking pot my entire adult life too, right? So getting high and drunk daily, overweight, unhappy, relationships were suffering, my work was suffering. I have a 2-year-old child now. He was younger at the time, but a baby in the household. I have a wife, I have a dog. I have responsibilities. I want to own a home one day. Don't own a home here. Everything's so expensive right now too, so it's challenging. I needed to make more money. A lot of difficulties, and they were stacking up against me. But fast forward, I'm reading this entry, and I'm like, wow, my life changed dramatically. I've been off the pot and the alcohol now. I quit the booze first. I'm almost 160, 170 days off the drink. Close to 120 days, maybe closer to like 100 days. I don't know the exact numbers at the moment, but I quit the pot. This is the longest stretch of my entire adult life where I've not been on some kind of substance, whether it's alcohol or smoke, right? So huge changes there alone changed my life dramatically. This is the most balanced dieting approach I've ever taken in my life too. Like I mentioned in the beginning, I was constantly looking for the next big dieting thing. I've done all types of extreme dieting, juice cleanses, fasting for 6.5 days, sugar diets, veganism. I've tried tons of stuff. I went full blown ketogenic for a while, and that actually did work, but I was walking around lightheaded all the time. I could feel my heart beating in my chest at one point. I'd lost like 25% of my body percent at one point doing an extreme diet challenge for work by starving myself and eating keto and walking like 15 to 25,000 steps a day. Probably not the healthiest ways to lose weight, right? And then I rebound and gain it all back anyways, right? So, and I've been running, most of this time. I became a runner in 2020, ran my first marathon, kind of took a big break. Me and my wife hiked the Appalachian Trail in 2021. We thru hiked from Georgia to Maine, had my early midlife crisis and quit our jobs. I kind of forced her to quit hers and come along with me. After the trail, I came back and started working for a friend, selling insurance. Been a salesman most of my life, but that's another big thing this program's allowed me to step into is I'm trying to pivot my career back into IT. I've always been a tech enthusiast. I'm a millennial, 40-year-old. As a young person, I'd stay up late at my friend's house reading thehappyhacker.org and using Fravia's search lore website. If you were a tech guy back in the day, that might be a nostalgic drop for you. But I kind of started to go down that path in college, dropped out, and became a salesperson most of my life. And I'm finally, picking that back up. And I recently passed my CompTIA A+ certification exams on December 10th and got that certification, studying for Network Plus, then Security Plus, so on and so forth. I've got a home lab set up here, multiple computers. I'm learning Linux really intimately. Setting up all types of stuff to help me learn and grow and, potentially earn a lot more money is the goal and do something meaningful. I know that industry's turned upside down right now with AI and whatnot, but that doesn't mean I'm going to stop or give up. So all these changes were happening. The 100 days came and gone. I kept logging. I'm on like my 157th day. The end of the year approaching. I said it's time to evolve the system. We're going to retire Project 100. And I created Endurance OS is the new name of the project folder I use in GPT, also the name of this channel, right? Because my overall goal here is to create these vlog style videos and share my system, my templates, my check-ins, how I'm using this tool, how it's making these meaningful changes in my life. And I'm really excited to do it. I've always wanted to make YouTube content. I just don't think I've had something valuable or sharing, or at least that's what I thought in the past. I'd done some Twitch streaming at one point in the past, but that was just silly gameplaying and stuff. I don't really play video games as much anymore. I still will occasionally sit down and play if I've completed all my other priority stacks, but there's not a lot of free time for gaming with a young child in the household and the training, the running, the lifting, the food prep, spending meaningful time with my wife and my child and my dog, my full-time job, the studying, the reading, the journaling, the meditating. It all adds up. Time's my biggest limiting factor at the moment, and now I'm adding again something on top of that. I'm trying to create YouTube videos, so this vlog style, minimal editing, minimal production is kind of what I'm going for initially here, and as I hone the craft and get better at this. But if any of that resonates with you, if you've ever had to start over multiple times, I saw a meme this morning. It was a David Goggins meme, and at the bottom it said, reinstalling MyFitnessPal for the 8th year in a row as we approach January. I feel like I've been there and done that a time or two, and I can relate to that meme quite a bit. And this endurance operating system, Endurance OS, is creating lasting change. And, I have some concerns about sharing all this information with OpenAI's ChatGPT. I'm sure some people are wondering, about that. Eventually, I'd like to get, a more high-end machine capable of running a large language model offline and doing this. But thanks to AI, the cost of computer equipment is skyrocketing right now. And, that's something I'm also concerned about. And, some of the stuff I'm watching on YouTube, I'm about to read a book by Paul Kingsnorth about Against the Machine and you know, the undoing of humanity. I forget how the subtitles worded there, but there's another channel, a bike guy is making a whole new channel in January about AI and what does the future of it look like for humans and AGI. And, you know, there's some legitimate, real concerns I have there too. So, you know, using this technology has been really life changing, but it's also super concerning at the same time. So, yeah, I don't know if I have any more to yap about. I think that kind of covers the majority of what's happening right now. You know, I had this long script and introduction pitch for this channel, and it just felt so fake and canned. You know, there's a copy of it on that monitor back there. I felt like I was selling something, which I didn't like. You know, I'm no expert, I'm no professional. I'm just somebody who's sharing something. I'm documenting the system that's working for me, and I want to share it. I want to see how other people are using similar tools to create and make change in their life. So there it is. If you like that, you know, stay tuned. I'm gonna try and create a cadence of maybe one video per week, ideally. You know, following this format, they should be easier for me to pump out this way. So thank you for viewing, and I'll see you later. Thanks.